Arun Roy. We
Yeah,
have been
hi Arun.
communicating on Facebook quite some time back. It was
Yes,
long
Arun.
overdue that it
I'm
was
very,
long
very well
overdue to meet,
aware.
even if it is virtually. Yeah, please
Yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm well aware. I have interacted with you on Facebook quite a bit. Yeah.
So we have
So,
started the recording, Tarak.
yes.
What I would do is very quickly just firstly introduce us as a group. So we assemble like this on almost every Saturday on a topic which could be of interest to the group. And apart from that, the group has a lot of intense conversations on a wide range of subjects, within our group. And it comprises a lot of people coming from diverse background, a lot of people who have a lot to offer in terms of their personal experiences, etc. And to introduce Tarak to the group, I again came to know of Tarak, I think, only via Facebook, but subsequently we have met. And I know Tarak as one person who is very passionate. He is very committed and dedicated to the cause that he is working for, which he essentially is looking at education for all. And currently, he is involved with the Delhi and the Punjab government, as creator of curriculums for foundation course on entrepreneurial mindset, design thinking, and technology in everyday life. Earlier, he has been involved with a number of MNCs as well as startups and internet companies, and he's an alumnus from IIT Bombay and also from New York University, and I think it's Chicago, right? No, um, I might be wrong. Yeah, Wisconsin. So I think with this very short introduction, maybe I'll open the floor for Tarak to take over. Tarak, all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Rakesh. Um, so I'm happy to see all of you. And education is a topic that is close to many of our hearts, and clearly it's a very important.
Tarak, just 1 minute. The challenge with the Teams is that if all of our videos are on, then the speakers thing is a bit lost. So you may have to tell us at what point you want us to go off our video, and then we can keep you in focus.
Okay, all right. Right now, let's just keep it on.
Sure.
I will let you know. Yeah, so I think it is important that learning together. I like the theme of your group, and so this is a learning together journey, and where I will share my experiences, my insights that I have gotten over the past several years, and I would expect some interaction. So if you have any questions, you can put it down on the chat anytime, and I will address them as appropriate, or I might discuss at the very end. The other thing is that it being a small group, it is fine to have interrupts. If you really feel strongly, please feel free to raise your hand, and we can have a discussion right there. So that is also fine because it's a small group. One can do that. Um, and I want to make sure that whatever I'm saying is not, it is just based on my experiences. It is not something that is universal in by any stretch of imagination. So please take it with a grain of salt. Um, with that, I'll get started, and let's see how it goes. This is the first time I'm talking in with such a esteemed group of people who are already very accomplished in their own rights, and so it is not something that I want to take the lead as such. But let's get started. So, one of the things that, at least in my experience, we are the product of our past, right? So, in order to understand my journey now, it is important for me to share a few important highlights from my past life, because that will help you understand my worldview and what I've been doing. I won't take too much time, but a little bit of background is required. I see that many people have started going off, so I guess you can turn the video off. Uh, that is okay. You guys can turn the video off if you want.
Sure.
Um, so uh, there are some of the important aspects about my past life that I would like to highlight very quickly. One important thing is that I grew up in Bombay in a lower middle class, and what that my parents put me in a very good school. They could not afford. Those who are in Bombay might know Fellowship High School on the August Kranti Marg. It is right on the Maidan, and it was quite a challenge for them to pay the monthly fees of even 40 rupees, right? At that time in the 60s and 70s. So I studied I used to study, go up to the terrace and build a temporary roof so that the sun and the rain can be dealt with, and I would study there on that. So fast forward, I went to IIT Bombay and made it is, although there are a lot of opportunities in IIT Bombay to get into extracurriculars, and I had many opportunities, but I was so stuck up on being good in academics that I didn't avail those opportunities that were available there. um, uh, the fast forward further, and at some point, when I was in the US, I kind of felt that I had achieved all that I ever wanted to achieve. I had modest dreams, and I felt like I had achieved everything that I wanted to achieve. Right about that time is where I had, uh, I underwent a 9-hour surgery for a brain tumor. And that was another turning point in some sense, where I was looking for what is the purpose of life. And at the turn of the millennium, our family, my wife and I, with our 2 young kids, lock, stock, barrel, moved to India, with a hope that somewhere down the line we'll be able to uh, do something in the field of education, because that's what changed my whole life and the life of my family. It's not easy, even if you want to do something. What you do it has never been easy. So this is second point. The third point is that I have been a stammerer. Now, right now, you don't notice it as much, but it was very bad. I mean, very bad meaning I would not talk to strangers. I would have a hard time buying ticket on the bus. Uh, and all through my professional career until early 40s, I would I would just keep it to my group and my managers, etc. Not really do any kind of public speaking, etc. Now that changed when, for the purpose of networking while looking for a new job, I joined Toastmasters Club. The initial intention was just to network with people and see if I'll get a job, get some job. But in that process, I discovered that in a warm, non-judgmental environment, uh, one can one can really unshackle from the fears that we are harboring through our lives. And that happened for me. And I realized the larger purpose of communication. And that communication is a lot more than fluency. Not just that, there are so many aspects of communication that most of us are very bad at. And specifically in India, most kids in school don't get learn even a small aspect of that large field of communication. So another little point that I forgot to mention with the coming back to India, I was obviously um, in the quest looking for the purpose of life, and I came across vipassana meditation, and that turned a huge wheel for in my life, in my worldview. And I've been a vipassana meditator since then. So that is been a foundation of a lot of the work that I do. Coming back to the Toastmasters thing, I learned the joy of communication, and I realized that I need to spread that joy. And so we started youth leadership program uh, in uh, in in my home, actually, here in Bangalore. With my son and I started with the neighborhood kids, and then we spread it to uh, the schools around, such as Kendriya Vidyalaya in Bangalore, and then there is another Florence in English schools, and so on. I'm also sort of an entrepreneur at heart, and I have been, ever since I moved to India, I have been part of several startups. And so I understand the entrepreneurial spirits. And in fact, I felt pretty sad that I wasted a lot of my time only with large companies in the beginning of my career, because that's the time when one can learn so much, and startups provide a good place for learning new things. So I wanted to scale up this youth program, and so I went to a government school near my house in Bangalore, and I talked to the principal. After a long conversation, she finally looks me into the eyes and says, इसमें आपको क्या मिलता है? And I was taken aback. I hadn't expected that question. I said, like, I just get satisfaction out of it, but that got me thinking कि यहाँ दाल गलने वाली नहीं है, because the principal didn't really care what I was doing. I was going to do for the kids. Then it just so happened that that time a friend of mine told me that, why don't you go to Delhi? They are doing some good work in education there. And this was way back, several years ago. And so I said, why not? On one of the, I was IT consultant at that time, and I had my business, IT consulting, but I was able to find time. So I flew to Delhi just the very next week. Another friend of mine set up a meeting with Atishi, and so I thought it'll be a meeting, but I was just waiting at some place. And in between her meetings in the field of education, she came out into a room for having a dabba lunch. And so this friend of mine called me there, and I explained to her in 10 minutes as she was eating her lunch as to what this youth program is all about and how is it conducted. So the first time she opened her mouth after listening to me, her words were, "आपको पायलट कभी करना है, हम एक दो स्कूल में करवा सकते हैं." So I was actually taken aback, but for a different reason. I said कि मुझे लगा कि अभी तो काफी time लगेगा. I wasn't prepared for that. I really did not know. अरे plan बनाया नहीं है. So I came up with some excuse, but says we'll make a plan and we'll let you know. And as you would expect that with a IT business, consulting business, where I am also not just the man, I was mostly the worker also. And so to fly back and forth Delhi for 13 sessions, that long the program was, I said, Kaisa, you can't do 13 sessions in a row. Anyway, all that apart, it didn't work out for quite a while because their academic calendar, etc., didn't match with whatever I could do. Uh, that's when the same friend told me that they are going to start entrepreneurship curriculum. So that gave me. I mean, I was in the entrepreneurship thing. I was mentoring a few startups by then also. And so I said that entrepreneurship mindset is the mother of all soft skills. So communication, I will be definitely part of it. So this gives me a larger playing ground. I joined hands with Udyam Learning Foundation, and we flew to Delhi in Jan of 2019, and we began our entrepreneurship mindset curriculum journey. And it is not like I have done anything in education before, completely zero, right? But I had this feeling that I have entrepreneurship background and I'm determined to make a difference. And I had this experience with youth leadership program. That was my trump card. So I went there and I realized that people appreciated a lot more about me because I had management skills. I knew how to collaborate. I was able to get a lot of NGOs on board, and I set up the whole Google Doc framework for them so that all the teachers trained them, whoever did not know, so that we could start operating in a disciplined, systematic manner. And that's when I realized that the teachers themselves did not have all the necessary skills. And I discovered some of my hidden talents also. Anyway, fast forward, we got the curriculum for entrepreneurship mindset ready. Yeah, I want to mention one important thing that the education minister Manishji was very much working closely with us. In fact, I would give something in the evening, and the next morning he would have read everything and put his comments and given back to me. I don't know how he did all that, but it was very fantastic working together, and that's why we were able to roll it out so quickly. We did a pilot in 300 classrooms in April, and then worked hard in May, June, and they delivered the curriculum in July. So that was the speed, which was never unheard of in any school system, leave apart government school system. So they delivered the things, we delivered trainings. As you can imagine, rolling out a curriculum in 1,000 plus schools with several thousand teachers is not a joke by any stretch of imagination. But we did it, and then I realized, there's a lot of learning there for me, and I understood all the operational aspects of government school systems and training aspects and what you can do, what you can't do. And one of the important learning there, which I think would be, which would be, I think you guys would also appreciate, is that when you deal with a large system like that, you're not trying to reach for perfection, right? You're trying to look at the bell-shaped curve, and you're saying our goal is to move this curve to the right, and as much right as possible with specific learning objectives and so on and so forth, which are measurable, etc. But you're not trying to achieve 100%. And because you can't achieve 100% for a host of reasons outside your control, and then learn the whole aspect of learning to work with things outside your control is something that has been a huge learning, and I can give some examples in between as I move ahead with this journey. um, in the in the process of writing curriculum, I realized that I brought in some unique strength that is to differentiate between entrepreneurial mindset, the analytical ability from a PhD. So PhD से और कुछ तो फर्क नहीं पड़ा, but this in this curriculum business में it was very helpful. The ability to structure things, the ability to categorize things, differentiate things, all those skills are not commonly in India. At least I didn't find them common in the cohort of teachers and the NGO folks which were working there. So I was able to kind of help them separate between entrepreneurial mindset, foundational abilities, qualities, etc. So that everybody says कि mindset करना है, ये डाल दो, ये डाल दो. Now you can't make a khichdi there and confuse the kids. Because they are not just guinea pigs. That was very clear to my mind, and Manishi also made very clear to me that we cannot take the kids for granted, or the school teachers for granted. That this is not an it should not be experimental to that level. We already did a pilot, and that we learned a lesson. We need to take the feedback and make sure that it's a well-rounded curriculum. Having said that, there are many teachers which will up in the arms because हमारा subject कब होगा, science math करना चाहिए, ये क्या हम सिखा रहे हैं, etc., which was expected. But there were also teachers who were very happy that हम बच्चे को कुछ practical सिखा रहे हैं, कुछ ये सिखा रहे हैं. And by the way, this was a zero period type of a concept, meaning there was already a zero period for happiness curriculum for class 0 to 8. And this is for class 9 through 12 for EMC, which is Entrepreneurship Mindset Curriculum. So it was a every day. And the reason it was every day is because this is something habit forming. Otherwise, if you leave it as optional 2-3 days, then it gets cut off from the timetable every time something else needs time, and then it becomes an extracurricular. Now, remember what I said earlier about it not being 100% thing. So operationally, it was very visible that some schools did not do it well. Some schools did it excellent, while the most of them were in the middle of the curve. Anyways, fast forward again, we took a lot of feedback, ground observations, lots of stuff. Even we did a study which was financed by a large NGO. So everything was done, everything was moving positive. Then comes bang, COVID, March 20. So COVID did two things. One thing is that we immediately, all of us came together and created an online curriculum, online offline curriculum, which I cannot describe right now the changes, but it was quite a pivoting to make sure that the curriculum doesn't come to a standstill. However, in my life, I I also realized that it is life is unpredictable, and I was doing this IT business and this entrepreneurship mindset curriculum, and it was just getting too hard to manage, to ride on both boats. And so I took this decision then to say, this is, I'm very much appreciate this opportunity I've got to make a difference in millions of lives, and uh, I think this is what I want to go for. So I said goodbye to my IT work, and I focused full time on this work in education. And so during the COVID, it was a lot of innovations. As I said, I discovered a lot of talents within myself which I had never known existed, and working together collaboratively with a whole lot of people, we came up with new ideas. We came up with a new revision of the curriculum also. And I have to say, hats off to Manish ji again, that he knows, he's able to identify opportunities. So between COVID, I mean, you guys would all know COVID cycles, and so the second cycle was very bad. And but even in spite of being so bad, when the cycle was tapering off, he took that opportunity in April uh, 2021, that, and he personally went to a school and ran a business blasters pilot. You know, if some of you might know that business blaster is a practical component of EMC, which is where the students get seed money. So Delhi government had already passed it in budget in 2019 budget itself. But for bureaucratic reason, it was not, it didn't execute in 2019, and 2020 was COVID. So in 21 is when he personally went and ran a pilot. And then we worked very hard in May, June to get the pilot, the output of the pilot, and we shape up the program. And come July, uh, in that 21, we ran a full pilot of Business Blasters. If you have not seen the Business Blasters episode, please take half an hour and see at least one out of the 8 episodes. It will tell you how the entrepreneurship mindset curriculum and Business Blasters in particular, it changed the way life for many teams, and thousands of teams participated, and so on and so forth. So this went very well. I was I come from corporate background and from startup background, and problem solving is what we do all the time. And so for me, problem solving means you have to do it holistically. So together with Manishji and Atishi and all other people, many other players. So I know this is a recording, but I there's lots and lots and lots of people who contributed. I don't want to make it sound like I was the main person or anything like that. Um, but together we came up with that we have to solve all the way, that these students need to see it fruition, right? Their ideas come to fruition. So we came up with a not competition, but sort of a tiered way, where there is outside entrepreneurs together with the system people decide which are the projects that are more feasible, more practical, more viable. They went to the next level and so on. And 126 projects of the student teams, we arranged for a expo, a proper expo in a stadium, where the investors were invited, and there was the discussion between the teams, the student businesses, and the investors. It went really well. We also created a incubator for the Business Blaster teams in Delhi Skills and Entrepreneurship University. So all that went pretty well for that first entire year. After that, the next year started, and the program repeated itself. There were some changes done, and there were some other hiccups that happened. And I would not like to dwell on that because they were not operational hiccups or the thing. They were more political hiccups, which we will not discuss or talk about in this conversation. I was the Udyam team was working very well with SCRT, and I was also part of the second year, but I was having groomed the team. I was helping them from a decision making perspective, along with SCRT and Udyam folks. Going further, uh, the some of you might have heard that right around that time, the Delhi government realized that the problem lies also with our education system, which starts from the exams. That everything is driven from the exams. EMC did not have any exams, so kids did not really take it seriously. The teachers didn't take it seriously. Whenever there is an opportunity, they will skip EMC classes. That is one. But it is still going on because of the every year the program is going on, the budget is being spent, etc. So at some degree, it has worked very well. But you know about the fundamentals in education. What I observed during my business blaster interaction with the teams which made it to the television show, as well as to the what do you call, the in investment summit and expo. I realized that two things. One is that they have so little knowledge of technology because they've not been exposed. They've been left out of the digital space. They don't have laptops at home. They have a shared smartphone, which they use it primarily for messaging, games, and videos. So that was one thing. Secondly, a lot of teams using technology, they created businesses that took them somewhere, which was very nice observation that day. Third is that ki unka foundations were very weak, because problem solving is not about only technology or not about only mindset. Problem solving is something that you need to develop as a skill, problem solving skills. So I was just thinking about all that when an opportunity landed on my lap, literally from the sky. And that is that the Delhi government had started a new board called Delhi Board of School Education. You know, because they did not have a state board, they decided to start a new state board, and they, after 1 year of research, they decided to partner with IB, International Baccalaureate, and that um, they, as a part of that curriculum of IB, they had a subject called design, which is about the design thinking process, which is about problem solving. So they came, approached me and says, Ki, would you, they approached me and Udyam both together, and we engaged with them to create a design thinking curriculum combined with entrepreneurship mindset. Then, after working for a few months, Udyam decided to drop out because this was only for schools, about 47 schools. It was not for all 1,000 schools, and Udyam, as per their requirement, had to uh, to do it for scale. They did not want to engage with opportunities that were smaller in size. For me, 47 school is large. There is lots and lots of students, and I was in fact happy because of all said and done, the entrepreneurship mindset curriculum was quite a big challenge rolling out on 1,000 schools. So I was happy with 47 schools. So I took it as a challenge and got a couple of people from NGOs involved and built a curriculum for EMDD. And this combines entrepreneurship mindset, design thinking, so problem solving, real life problem solving using design thinking and technology. Technology, because as I said, I wanted to make sure that we give technology exposure. Second is we were, in order to do real life problem solving, one needs to have tools in hands, and we could not give the students lathe machines and plastic, creating models, etc. That is not possible to do it in 47 schools. The out of 47, 36 already had laptops, Chromebooks, so we could use Chromebooks for technology. And the other 11, I worked hard, raised funds, and got them Chromebooks, so that all of them had Chromebooks available for this subject called entrepreneurship EMDD. And this subject is a foundational subject from grade 6 to grade 10, 5 years. In the schools of specialized education, specialized skills, it is for 2 years, ninth and 10th only, because the SOSC starts only in ninth grade. But all the SOAL, schools of applied learning, it is from 6 to 10. So we designed this spiral curriculum, and it was rolled out. And the IB, I learned a lot about IB. And once again, my PhD was very helpful. I thanked a lot my advisor, who was very strict with me. But that is because of her strictness that I was able to learn many of the concepts that helped me in understanding what IB is trying to do. And I understood what educationists try to do and what the IB curriculum is all about. And we implemented that for this two whole cycle. I mean, one part cycle, one whole cycle has been completed, and the third cycle has begun. I forgot to mention one thing during COVID. So it is an important thing because that's an important sort of insight I got from there. During COVID, EMC had the best kind of activities for the students, and the students really enjoyed those activities. One of the activity, for example, was uh, with what fears would you like to set up friendship? Friendship with fears. डरों से दोस्ती कर लो, and that was the hit activity among all the students. They marked on a bingo style thing. They tick marked many of the fears and they wrote their own fears. And that looking at the list of fears, it was very enlightening for us who are designing the curriculum. And one of the biggest fear was that log kya sochenge, right? What will people think? And fear of failure. Those two were the very high on the list. What worked for us is that the teachers, this is just one activity. There are many such 24 different activities that we did over COVID. And the teachers enjoyed the creativity and the expression of the students because they were the mediator between SCRT and the students. So in WhatsApp groups, they would get output from students. This was also given as worksheets. The parents would come and take up the worksheets from the school, and they would return it back. So the teachers saw firsthand that the students had so many thoughts on their mind, so many things they can do. So the lens completely changed, and many of the teachers turned around and they understood what EMC was trying to do, which the other subject could not do. So there was a big turnaround for many of the teachers in the belly of the curve. thanks to this experience, and we also learned a lot from them. Coming back to EMDD, so this is going quite well. I learned what assessments are all about. And oh my God, that's a whole new science out there. And IB has done a great job of integrating this whole network quite well. And I was able to come help a small team of things. And now we are training more teachers so that I can hand over the control to EMDD to the teachers surely, but slowly but surely. As I've been doing EMDD, it's not over yet. There is a whole bunch of trainings and retrainings need to be done. Meanwhile, Punjab government is starting schools of applied learning, 40 of them, and as a part of they need a uh, foundational subject in computers. They said they have this standard computer science course, which I know is pretty lousy, and you will know what it is because 20 साल से वही चलता आ रहा है. यू नो मेमोरी क्या है, नेटवर्क्स क्या है, ये सीखो वो सीखो, सब कुछ रट्टा मार लो और फिर एग्जाम में वो vomit it out. There is no practicals, barely some Excel, something, some words somewhere, none, very little in the name of practical. Um, so I said, Ki, if you want to me to do it, it has to be technology in everyday life, not computers. And the person was quite amenable. And so I've been working on technology in everyday life curriculum. Anybody is interested in contributing to either EMDD or technology, you're most welcome. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I will share my LinkedIn link on the chat. And also, in general, if you are interested in any opportunity with Punjab governance or Delhi governance, do connect with me. I have enough contacts in the government and among the people who are act as a glue between governance and this. But of course, you should have passion, commitment of time. That is very important. And I will sort of end my monologue with saying one thing, that one of the things that worked well for me in these various opportunities is my decision right at the beginning that I am not looking for either position or name, fame, business or money. No, I said, this is not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I want to bring holistic education to children in India. That is my purpose. And so that helped me because that is what typically problem for them is. And even if you do it for free, they still have the problem कि ये NGO को क्यों दिया, उसको क्यों नहीं दिया. So that is what has worked well for me. Now I'll pause and you can turn on your mic and video and ask questions, or you can type a question in the chat box.
Tarak, so far
Tarak, if you
there is no
slightly
hand
swayed
raised.
by the silence, if you have been think what the silence is all about, just let me add one line before it's open and other people peep in. In our experience of 45 sessions or odd that we have had, the silence always represents the kind of absorption that the audience has had and they are taking their time to assimilate and react. So the silence to me represents that. Rakesh, you were saying something.
Yeah. So if anyone has a question, we can go ahead. In the meantime, Tarak, when I was discussing with you on phone, you gave, kind of, I have a vivid recall of you mentioning that, about that animation thing, where, you went all the way trying to do it yourself and to learn it yourself so that then, you can kind of incorporate in your curriculum, which I found very remarkable. So I think, if you would want to talk a little about that as well.
Yeah. We remind me, Rakesh, what were we speaking about? It was 1 week ago.
Yeah. You mentioned about that animation, how you wanted to first learn how the animation, I think for your
Yeah.
EMC,
Of course.
kids had done it, and then you realize that's a useful skill for your
Yeah.
technology in everyday
Correct,
life.
correct, correct. So I will cover that. I will cover the philosophy question that you asked me separately, and I will cover this financial management thing.
Sure.
This is a question that has come up here. So first of all, there was one other insight that I got. In IIT we have this thing called Gnanam Paramam Dhyayam, and Gnanam means knowledge, right? And I realized that what they mean by knowledge is bigger than actually what knowledge, when we say in schools, knowledge means ज्ञान दो, ज्ञान की सबको रट्टा मरा दो और फिर एग्जाम ले लो. That is what knowledge means. So the education is improved it and made it KSA, knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Right. So they are saying we are trying to build knowledge, skills, and attitudes. And then I found during my journey one more thing called cash, which is knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits. And I realized that the power of habits is very important. So just having an attitude is not enough, but you need to make that habit of that attitude. And the skill also needs to be perfected by habit. It is not enough just to be exposed to the skill. So that is one thing. So this financial management or philosophy or whatever topic, they are sustainability. These are all domain knowledges, right? These are all domains. We would like to cover a variety of domains which are germane in the current society, right? Besides the math and the science and the social science, all these domains are very relevant. There are many of them. Now, the question is, how do you integrate these domain knowledge with experiences? So we realize that students don't learn very well when you just give them one directional knowledge. You have to get them involved in experiences, and the more they experience, they learn better. So now these experiences are at different levels. One is a visual experience of seeing a video. Third is doing an activity. And then the next level is doing a project. So in EMDD and TEL, the technology in everyday life, I I have gravitated to the activity and project. In EMC, it is more activities, and in EMDD and TEL, I'm doing more projects because I realized that doing projects from beginning to end in no matter what domain. So I'll take specific examples so that it becomes clear to you. For example, planning, and if you ask, what do the fresh graduates lack? So they have no concept of planning, they have no concept of time management, they don't know, those are the standard complaints that you hear. And so I said, I need to teach that. But how do you teach that? I don't want to give them gyan. So we created story, a short, very short story, and then we asked them to plan their class tour from beginning to end, giving a budget of 4,500 rupees so that it's not quite enough. And they have to manage how to do the 5 days of tour, going to which cities, by train, by bus, how do they manage food and stay, everything. So they will, in teams, they will work through the whole thing using Excel spreadsheets, using search. They will get tips and for various technology. So they learn technology, they solve a practical problem. They have a gala time doing it because they're doing it for themselves, right? And they do that. So we created this project, which is a holistic learning project, which integrates multiple aspects of learning that I mentioned. Right? So financial management has multiple dimensions. One is budgeting. Second is savings, spending, savings, budgeting. Those are the things that are key. So I covered another unit for savings, but the way I created integrated savings into that is that पहले तो you use Excel, set a goal. मुझे computer लेना है या I want to buy this phone, whatever. How much does it cost? What is your time horizon? So they give those 3 4 parameters, and out comes, okay, you have to send 18 rupees a day every day for the next 2 years to get your laptop. And so, and along with that comes a chart, a curve. So this is what your savings will grow if you put it in a bank account with savings, or this is how it will go if you put it in a gullak. Then they discuss and understand what are the advantages or disadvantages of putting in a gullak versus in a savings bank. Then they say, okay, in your, by the way, these are all sort of economically weaker sections of society they come from. Most of them, 80-90% of them, 95% of them. So we say, okay, in your community, in your family, in your relatives, where do people save? Why do they save? Do they save or not save? Understand their habits and create a presentation for them as to why should they save and why should they save in a bank. So in understanding this process, they follow through empathy, the design thinking cycle. They learn how to communicate effectively in creating a presentation, what is important in a presentation, and etc. etc. And they actually present that to people and get feedback from them and improve their presentation. So you can get a sense of how, and the same goes for the what do you call the SDGs? The United Nations sustainability goals, right? You must have heard about that. Sustainable development goals. Somebody asked a question about that. So we have incorporated 3 units between 6 to 10 on that. But via teaching some technology, they will explore, they will create either a skit or a presentation, or they will work on a solution for that problem, and they will present the solution. Let me see if there are other questions. Yeah, so I've addressed the SDG part already. Then there is a science hackathons, entrepreneurial hackathons. The Business Blaster is essentially that entrepreneurial hackathon. The government has funded 45 crores, I think. And so about several thousands of teams will create these business projects, and then there will be several levels of filtering, and then they will be chosen for the mentorship. They'll be mentored by industrial mentors, so they will get mentors from outside, not from the school system, and then they will go to the next level, etc. Okay.
Kaushalya, you
Then,
want to go ahead? Kaushalya, you have a question?
so by the way,
Yes,
somebody
yes.
mentioned about leveraging corporate managers. That's exactly what I did. we reached out to TIE, we reached out to all the things, and we got a lot of mentors. 600-700 of them is what I remember. We set up on our own what do you call CRM system to be able to communicate with them. And this is partially outside government, because government can't do anything so efficiently. So that's why it is important to have this NGO and government working together. Uh, yes, Kaushalya, go ahead.
Yes, very amazing session. Uh, and I want to ask from you if a philosophy, some chapters of philosophy is must be included in our curriculum of our school. I just completed my MSc in chemistry and pursuing a BA right now. I wanted to become a good teacher. I realized that in some days philosophy is very important for us. It makes to learn how to learn, okay, how to ask suitable questions from teachers, and why is it important to read the books. Okay, many children think that why is it important to read, what is
Yeah.
need. Okay, so
Uh-huh.
this is a basic questions, and students must have get the answers, because they are not getting much interested on that, because of lot of because of lack of guidance, I can say that.
Right.
So
So, Kaushalya, there are two separate questions. One is this whole process of curiosity, questions, losing the fear of asking questions, figuring out how to ask questions, that all stream, which is a very important thing, which is integrated into the pedagogy of EMC as well as EMDD and TEL. I'll be happy to share a unit with you guys so that you can actually see how the pedagogy works. In fact, one of the feedback is that because of EMC and the students are asking questions now in other subjects. And that is why their learning levels have improved, because they are asking questions to clear their doubts. So that is one part. But the second part that you mentioned about reading books and philosophy, right? So
yes,
I think the point that I mentioned, that we would not want to give gyan about any topic, right? So
mm-hmm.
the way one would do in philosophy, particularly, what I would think about, I haven't talked about the happiness curriculum at all, but in as an outshoot of the happiness curriculum, there are stories, and then there are discussions as a result of the stories. There are a lot of ethical questions. There are a lot of real life questions that come up among student discussion. So we should encourage. I completely agree that the love for reading, love for exploring ideas should be inculcated, and that could be done as a part of the happiness curriculum. As a part of EMDD also, we can do that. We are doing it already, actually, from an openness, open questions. You know, all the questions for classroom discussion as well as homework, there are open questions also there. And so the students are asked to explore and come up with their worldview. However, I think this love for reading is something that should be inculcated specifically, and even some parts about ethical questions and what is the purpose of life and philosophy. All those also can be brought into the happiness curriculum.
Thank you, sir.
Sure. So yes, we reach out to me. Those who want to have a copy, the happiness curriculum is actually available on the internet itself. The EMC also, I'm happy to share. EMDD is not yet public domain, but I'm happy to share in a private conversation. I mean, to the private audience. And yeah, happy to share the curriculum framework also, so that you get an idea of what is going on. What was the matrix measure of success of the? This is very important question. I briefly mentioned. So first of all, there are studies that can be done. And sorry, there is this lightning and thunderstorm going on here in Bangalore. Bear with me. There is this. So when we wanted to do a study in the EMC part, it was funded. They wanted to do a what do you call the what is the thing where you have a control group and a experimental group. So we wanted to do that, but government could not do a control group. So we said fine. We did a study, and the metrics that were used is essentially how is the progress on the entrepreneurship mindset. What are the different aspects that we wanted kids to improve? How well they're doing? And there were in the first half baked year itself, there was good progress, and key feedback coming from parents and the teachers and the schools was all very positive. You know, parents are usually very hard to deal with because they are very worried about the kids' future. And so the parents से नहीं आप अच्छा सिखा रहे हो वो बच्चे घर में भी अच्छा कर रहे हैं. They are helping us with different things. So that is one thing. We always wanted to do a proper longitudinal study. So that has been initiated also by the government itself. Plus some external organizations. One study was done by the BCG and other folks, and the other study was initiated, but because of this political hiccups that came, it was stopped for that. For EMDD and TEL, the EMDD part, the fact that let me just quickly rattle off something which is a very important observation, which made me very happy. The computer teachers were already employed by the Delhi government, which is rare. There are not so many computer teachers in other government schools. But these computer teachers were upset because they were put on technical tasks, because only a few classes students are interested in learning programming. They were put on technical tasks. Ye theek kar do, wo theek kar do, data entry kar do, and obviously computer teachers were upset. So when EMDT came, they were saying कि हमें कंप्यूटर प्रोग्रामिंग सिखाना है, हमें कंप्यूटर सिखाना है, हमें ये डिजाइन थिंकिंग पे क्यों लगा रहे हो. सो आई रियलाइज द प्रॉब्लम कि हमें पूरी जिंदगी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग तो सिखा ही नहीं है. हमने ऑलवेज टेक्नोलॉजी सीखा है, डोमेन सीखा है, ये सीख लो, लेकिन प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कैसे सीखना है वो किसी ने नहीं सिखाया. देन आई सेड कि चलो आप शुरू तो कर दो, फिर देखते हैं करके. आई गॉट देम स्टार्टेड बिकॉज आई सेड once they started doing this, the following the units one by one, they understood कि when you use technology to solve problems, it is much easier to teach because students learn on their own. You don't have to tell them कि यहाँ मैंने जाके ये करो, वो सब करने की जरूरत नहीं. स्कूल अपने आप उसको प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करना है वो कर लेगा. So they realized that students started learning on their own, and whatever they learned, it stuck in them because they were interested in that class tour. उसको वो टूर का अच्छी तरह प्लान करना था, अपना टूर को सुंदर बनाना था, प्रैक्टिकल बनाना था, तो उन्होंने बाकी सब चीजें सीख ली. And वो वहाँ पे what we do, we provide YouTube videos here and this and that. We didn't do much hand holding, just a little bit, and then we say you video में सीख लो. So that was very important. So the computer teachers were interested because the students were interested and started giving positive feedback. And the parents were happy that the students are learning computer skills as well as problem solving together. कुछ काम कर सीख रहे हैं. So what I'm saying, there is one thing is I would love to do a proper study, etc. But it has to be a third party organization. So I would, if you know of any organization which is interested in doing study, please bring us to think. I would be happy to support, and because that is one contribution has to come from the outside world, right? The whole thing about this. And so this is where, if you guys can help, will be tremendous.
I think Avadesh ji has a question.
Yeah, one second. There's another question. How do you found design thinking turned up to develop in students or help them? For the students not going for, say, IT, engineering, some idea. So actually, Sarda Prasad ji, the design thinking is actually misunderstood in many ways. It Design thinking to me, and the way we do it, is solving problems. You have a problem, you need to solve, you need to apply, you need to understand the target group. What is the problem? What is the thing? What are the solution existing? Why don't they work? How can I improve? And I ideate, come up with solutions, sit one. Now, I have to say something funny here. Even for my daughter's wedding, I applied design thinking. I say I need to figure out who are the stakeholders here, what is the goal to achieve here. I need to achieve the main goal instead of trying to figure out all these other side goals which don't matter much. Anyways, so I think design thinking is for problem solving, and it applies to all disciplines, all peers, whether they do IT, engineering, whether they do medical, whether they do just manage their homes, or I think that will help them problem solve in a systematic manner, not take jugaad all the time. Systematic problem solving has a value in itself, and that is what is inculcated again and again by 30 units over 5 years in the schools of applied learning, and in SOSs by way of 12 units in 2 years.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Any Avdesh ji has a question. Yes, Avdesh ji.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So thank you very much. It was very enlightening. And I have two comments and one question. One is that my first comment is that really an excellent practical approach, very much essential for the people in that, students in that age bracket, in terms of acquiring skills on entrepreneurship, which is quite, essential. And you also mentioned that it covers a whole host of even soft skills, so which is excellent thing to really bring to the students at that level. So really, really, my gratitude to you to bring it out there for so many people. My second comment is also on introducing things like design thinking, which is something that usually starts, taking shape in corporate world, because these are new problem solving techniques and new frameworks that get created, and probably it gets experimented first in corporate world, and then it stops there. But you have pulled it out of there and brought it to the student life. So really excellent. I mean, I don't have words to express my gratitude to you for bringing that over. And my third thing is a question, sir. Um, One of the things that, and this is my personal view, and I'd like you to consider this as a question and maybe some action over that. Teachers are the most neglected, lot in our school teachers particularly. Like in corporate world, we have a training department, a learning department, development department, which takes care of training for people at all levels in the corporate world. But when we come to the educational world in our particular country, I don't see many, activities or training programs or structured programs which could even include train the trainers kind of thing. Or so once the people get on and join as a teacher and they start working, they don't get many opportunities to develop, and they are left behind, sir. And later we start blaming, saying the teacher is not good, the teacher is not good. But what did we do for the teachers?
Mm-hmm.
So as you have done a lot for the students, I'm maybe due to paucity of time, you may not have mentioned about what you people are doing for the teachers, but my heart
Yeah.
goes out to them, and really,
Uh,
shows for doing
Yeah,
a lot.
so Avdesh ji, first of all, we can't reach the students without going without the teachers. So all that is being done to the students is being done via the teachers. So the basic principle I learned, now this is something I learned during the course, that if you want to reach to the students, you have to have the teachers first experience it. So the entrepreneurship mindset, the design thinking, the soft skills, the more the teachers get it, they will be able to inculcate in the students. That is one thing. Second thing we learned is that they have to learn by doing, the teachers, not just by listening to lectures. The same way we want the students to learn by doing, the teachers have to learn by doing. So our training programs that are created with that pedagogy in mind, where the teachers actually participate and co-create these experiences for the students. And they can actually modify the curriculum also to the extent that they want to. So, what you're saying is, yeah, I did not mention it in so many words. I said that that's a huge amount of time. I would say the amount of effort we and the struggle we went through in teacher training is far greater than the amount it took to prepare the curriculum. And part of the reason is not just that it is hard. Part of the reason is that they have the bureaucracy and the system doesn't permit you a lot of structures and flexibility that is required for these trainings to happen. They have limitation of the number of hours that teachers can be pulled out. They also limitation on and the teachers also are used to some of the bureaucratic procedure and they don't want to change the method. So there's all kinds of issues. I mean, I can list 100 problems right now, but I'm very much in the thick and thin of it. So the good news, as I mentioned, is that the teachers I mean, you won't believe, but for the 47 schools, we have the teachers in a WhatsApp group in a constant sort of, they have any questions, they raise it and they get support. So they're very happy that in a government system, how a non-government way of communication is working without going through memos and orders. And they know also that Tarak and this team cannot help with the orders. That has to come from there. But for anything regarding the curriculum, everything is released via Google Chat, Google Drive, and so they are able to work with that. So we have changed. The teachers have become a lot more happier because they feel that somebody's listening. So in order to serve them, we need to listen also, right? It has to be a two-way communication thing. So we are doing a lot, and I do need help. uh, so if you know of people who can help, because this is area where we need to expand, right? We need to cover a lot more grounds, and let a lot more of success stories spread. That's how things will work. It works by the teachers need peer pressure. How do we create that peer pressure among teachers? That वहां पे ये हो रहा है, मैं मुझे भी करना चाहिए, मैं क्यों नहीं कर सकता? That is very. So the teachers have to change from being a teacher to a facilitator. Right? That is the big thing. Student centric classroom. So actually, you won't mind, but I mean, you would be surprised that the training for the teachers is focused not on the content of the EMDD or TEL. That they will figure out by reading the handout. It's focused more on how to build student-centric classrooms. What does it mean to facilitate? And they experience the joy of facilitating, joy of learning in a facilitated classroom. That's how they will spread. Yeah. That's right. So I think I hope I have not taken too much time, but it was
Sir,
a
sir,
nice
it is
question.
an absolute delight to hear This is one thing that I personally have been longing to hear from people about student centric, this two word, which has been the biggest bane, according to my personal view, in Indian education system. It has never been
Correct.
student centric. It is more teacher centric. And you just mentioned about student centric. Thank you so much for bringing that out and helping that to really take shape in our country. And the rest I've put in my chat with lot of gratitude and really, really, really so happy to hear you and really appreciate your work. Thank you
Sure.
so
Thank you
much, sir.
so much. Yeah. And as I said, one of the things that I would appreciate if you can spread the word and look for people who would like to contribute and make a difference. And I will, collaboration is the way we are going to reach all the children in India, right? It's not going to happen by a few people. So we have to expand this. And once again, there are no strings attached in any manner whatsoever. And please spread the word. Thank you so much.
Sure. Tarak, I will just say a couple of things and then I'll ask Arunji to, conclude the session. I think the way you started and you kind of related your personal story and then how all of this has created a meaning for a lot of people, but it's kind of began with your own realization. It really touched a lot, and this is one session where I have sent so many emojis. I don't remember which other session I must have done that. So at every single moment, there was something which I was kind of trying to internalize, and I really, like Avdesh said, gratitude to you. I think you're planting seeds, and these will grow over a period of time. Then the kind of benefit that would be there for the society at large will be phenomenal. You are touching so many lives. So thank you so much for this, Tarak. And I'm going to watch this whole recording again. I think there's so much there that I cannot just kind of grapple with it in this particular session. And your thing about spreading, definitely. And we will find out if you can tell us how individually I can be of help to you or any of us can be of help to you. We will be more than delighted to be a part of this journey. Thank you so
Sure.
much.
Pleasure. My pleasure.
Arunji, Arunji.
Uh, Rakesh, I have absolutely nothing to add to what already you or Avdesh have spoken. So normally, what do? Either we comment or we ask questions. I have absolutely no questions at this point of time. And comments during the program, the kind of emojis which Tarak kept receiving, I think they are better comments than I can speak in words. So just only, Tarak, I'm very sure Rakesh must have told you about. We call these sessions human library sessions. I have
Mhm,
copied this concept Copenhagen, where they in 2000, where they do not borrow books, they borrow people. So
mhm.
the entire group is very thankful to Rakesh for borrowing a person like you who just come and shared what he did. Thank you very much to both of you, Rakesh and to Tarak. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you so much. And let us try to sprout a few connections through this and help me reach out to people so that we can grow this type of learning to all the children in India.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tarak. Thank you,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Have
Good
a
night.
great day. Bye bye.